everyone. I hope you have a great day today. We are the Group 1, and in this section for the Unit 1, we will be discussing globalization and multicultural literacies. To further understand this topic, I will be giving the virtual floor to the reporters.
Good day, everyone. I am Daryl Barbatillo, and I will be reporting about globalization as defined by Joseph Stiglitz. Joseph Stiglitz is an American economist and public policy analyst known for his critical view of the management of globalization. He is the author of several books like Globalization and its Discontents and Making Globalization Work. Now let's proceed to what Stiglitz said about globalization. He said that globalization could either be success or failure, depending on its management. Stiglitz pretty much said a lot about globalization in his book Globalization and its Discontents, published in 2002. In that book, he defined globalization, economic globalization to be exact, as the closer integration of the countries and people of the world, which has been brought about by the enormous reduction of cost of transportation and communication, in the breaking down of artificial barriers to the flow of goods, services, capital, knowledge, and people across borders. This definition helps clarify what has become a catch-all term. For most people, globalization refers to the diverse phenomena, such as informational, cultural, or political globalization. This book mainly covers the economic consequences of globalization, the increased international trade in goods and services, of course, but also the evolution of multinational enterprises, the organization of industrial production across borders, and the global crisscrossing of workers and students spurred by economic need. He meant that globalization is where there is an trade barriers reduced to permit free flow of goods and services among nation states, where an environment where free flow of capital that can take place among nation states is created, and in the view of developing countries, where there is an environment where free movement of labor can take place in different countries of the world.
Good day, everyone. I am Trisharin Bayate. Now, for the continuation, according to Held et al. 1999, globalization captures elements of a widespread perception that there is broadening, deepening, and speeding up of a worldwide interconnectedness in all aspects of life, from cultural to political, to financial to the environmental. Now, to explain it further, globalization possesses elements that happens over a large area or exist in a big capacity wherein broadening, pinapalawak, deepening, pinapalalim, and speeding up of the expansion of the world we live in. Speeding up here means that making our lives easier. As we all know, globalization is being connected to the other areas of the world. There are many aspects. It could be cultural, political that varies between different states as well as across different policy sectors. Financial or economy, wherein it covers the import and export of goods and raw materials. And environmental. Now, next is Cole 2018. Sociologists shared that globalization is an ongoing process that involves interconnectedness changes in the economic, cultural, social, and political spheres of the society. Therefore, globalization is a process that includes the changes of the community or the society, wherein the other areas of the world is being connected through different transactions. Next is culturally. It refers to the global spread and integration of ideas, values, norms, behaviors, and ways of life. For instance, you went to America and you are a Filipino. You shared your culture, behavior, and other ways of life as a Filipino. So that is an example of globalization in a culture, wherein you integrate your ideas, values, norms, behaviors, and other ways of life. It is more like adapting to the other culture too. Next, politically, it refers to the development of forms of governance that operate at the global scale and whose policies and rules cooperative nations are expected to abide. So it is merely about the government, how they operate the policies that should be abided globally. All countries in the world should follow the set rules.
Good day, everyone. My name is Kimberly Cassandra Basadre. Ulrich Beck was a well-known German sociologist and one of the most cited social scientists in the world during his lifetime. His work focused on questions of uncontrollability, ignorance, and uncertainty in the modern age, and he coined the terms risk society and second modernity or reflexive modernization. He also tried to overturn national perspectives that predominated in sociological investigations with a cosmopolitanism that acknowledges the interconnectedness of the modern world. According to Beck 2000, globalization is a process through which transnational actors undermine sovereign national states with varying prospects of power, direction, identities, and network. Now, Ulrich Beck argues here that globalization has transformed the old categories of political action away from the national state. This transformation is possible because the multinational corporation has recaptured the power it lost in the development of democratic capitalism and the welfare state. This is made possible by its ability to withhold material resources from the state. Thus, they can change not only the economy of a nation, but society itself. Globalization policies, as he argues, are intended to separate the power of both trade unions and the state itself. The transnational corporations or the TNCs like Unilever has the ability to export jobs from uncooperative states to develop a global division of labor and to play countries off against one another. This leads to the development of sub-politics in which the TNC has power beyond established political systems. Thus, in the new modernity, politics recedes before the expansion of the economic realm. Globalization undermines the nation-state because it affects traditional boundaries.
Hi everyone, good day, especially to our professor, Ma'am Pepas, and to all my classmates. Welcome. But before I start, let me introduce myself. I'm Queen Jordi Bacalso. I'm from the Department of College of Teacher Education, major in Social Studies. And so for this video, I will discuss about the multicultural literacy. So let us know what is the goal or the purpose of this multicultural literacy. So it is to help and guide the learners to identify and understand every individual's differences pagdating sa nationality, race, gender, sexuality, religion, culture, beliefs, capacity or the ability of every individual, and etc. So let's proceed to the next slide. We have Taylor and Hackman 2011, the idea of an inclusive and diverse education system where students of all cultural backgrounds are provided with respect and recognition they deserve in the classroom. So, in a classroom, it is possible that we will have students with different backgrounds. Posible tayo magkaroon or posible tayo maka-encounter ng mga students na galing sa iba't ibang bansa or yung mga tinatawag natin ng mga transferees. Um, so as a teacher, we should promote this positive and fair treatment sa ating mga students, and dapat they must feel that they are belong to the group, and also we should be more sensitive and more aware with our discussion, lalo na if it is connected with with religion. So, and also it is important that we will use language that is applicable to all, na nagkakaintindihan tayong lahat or kayong lahat. So, because um, communication is very essential. So, to have a better environment. So, that's why it is necessary that we will encourage them to embrace diversity. So, next we have Butte 2008, fostering both critical thinking and culturally sensitive pedagogies to bring explicit attention to society-related cultural issues. So, according to Butte, education for multicultural literacy should should help students to develop the 21st century skills and attitudes that are needed to become active citizens who will work towards achieving social justice within communities. So, uh, sa makikita natin sa PowerPoint o sa slide, meron tayong dito the four C's of uh, 21st century skills. We have the creator, producing high quality work. Second, we have the collaborator, working with others. Communicator, understanding and communicating ideas. Critical thinker, solving problems. So, in these four skills, we must practice and adopt the positive and active social interaction. So next we have O'Byrne and Smith 2015. Culturally marginalized students feel more respect and comfortable in the classroom as they genuinely feel their needs are being met and their voice are being heard. So, according to Barber and Vega 2011, culturally marginalization describe the experience of individuals living within two cultures at the same time, not integrate into either of them. So, um, an example nito is yung ating mga GLBT community, and as we all know that meron silang sinusulong na kanilang mga paniniwala or kanilang mga rights. So, as a teacher, we should let them speak more or more open sa kanilang mga beliefs or perspectives inside the classroom to avoid the misconception and judgment. So, next we have Banks and Stark 2003, skills, attitudes, and commitments needed to be reflective, moral, and active citizen in a troubled global world. The knowledge, skills, and commitments are essential to take actions to make the world more just and human. So, kailangan natin makita ang skills and attitudes or yung commitment para makita ang pagkakatao. So, ito yung sinasabi na if you want to respect, so act respectfully. So, di porket halimbawa, hindi porket kayong magkakaibigan or kayong magka-classmate are not in a one culture, so dapat ba is magkagalit kayo? No. So, we must accept every individual's or others' perspectives. So, according to Banks, by teaching students to be advocates for multiculturalism, we also sending a message or empathy and tolerance in schools as needed to develop a deeper uh, understanding of others and appreciation of different cultures. So the goal of this um, multicultural education is yung tulad nga yung sinasabi ko kanina na dapat every student should be alam kung ano yung pagkakaiba nating lahat, but we should always remember that we will respect and accept every individual's differences, and dapat hindi yun nakakasagabal sa ating lahat para mas maging united tayo. So next, ang next ay i-report na ng aking kasama. So that's all my part, and thank you for all your time for watching and listening. So take care everyone, and thank you. Stay safe.
Good day everyone, I am Madeline and I will continue the discussion about multicultural literacies. Now according to BSN Dev 2004, multicultural literacies is about awareness that culture impacts behavior and beliefs. It is an awareness and appreciation of different beliefs, appearances, and lifestyle. If educators teach students that their differences towards belief and behavior can be caused by culture, then the students can be more open and sensitive enough to understand the culture of one another. Upon researching, I have read this in the article of DESU 2020 that promoting awareness and creating a personal connection with diverse cultures in the classroom can prevent students from developing prejudices later in life. Now, if the students became aware and appreciative of the other culture, then they can create personal connection with the other students in a classroom who have different beliefs and tradition from them. And if they do that, they can prevent the judgments that leads to cultural oppression. Next, according to Bowles 2006, multicultural literacy is about teaching children multicultural literature. This means educators must challenge assumptions and stereotypes, like selecting literature that does not promote stereotypical perspectives. For example, a storybook or a literature can promote slavery of a certain group of people, then educators should not use it in teaching the students to avoid generalization that this group of people are the lower kinds and are all slaves in reality. Here, I have also included the different benefits that students can get when learning multicultural literature. First is vocabulary development. Second, facilitates empathy, because when learning multicultural literature, they can understand each other's culture and differences. Next, additional knowledge for own heritage. And lastly, foster positive self-concepts and identity, because when they learn multicultural literature, they will not only learn to accept the culture of others, but also learn how to accept and celebrate the culture of their own. Lastly, according to Ford, Harris, and Howard in 1999, variables in the learning process must include culture, race, gender, religion, socioeconomic status, and ability. Educators must not forget these variables in teaching the students to promote inclusivity towards the differences in a classroom and avoid discrimination. Also, according to GAY 2011, multicultural education improves the academic success of students from different culture and prepare youths for democratic references. If there is no discrimination, then there will be less hindrance for the academic success of students, and it will let them have the rights to practice their culture and tradition.
Hi, now we will be talking about the tips to foster engaging learning culture. Now, these are just few examples of the many tips that is available that you can take into consideration to foster engaging learning culture. There are other ways and strategies to effectively foster engaging learning culture, but we will be focusing on the basic tips that is present here. So, the first one is to create a new circle of friends. Creating a new circle of friends paves the way for new learning, new interactions, new experiences, and also surrounding yourself with people, especially with positivity, will give you a huge improvement in your overall quality of life. Creating a new circle of friends can help you develop as a person and motivate you to work hard in learning and reaching your goals as well. Second is to note similarities and differences of beliefs and practices. Being knowledgeable about the similarities and differences of beliefs and practices between you and other people can give you an idea or insight about their beliefs and practices and how it works. It will expose you to different cultural aspects wherein you get to learn things that is new to you, grab your attention and interest, and expand your knowledge on the process. Explore opportunities. Exploring opportunities is taking on a venture that is new to you for the sake of experience and learning purposes. Well, experience is the best teacher, as they say. Next one is to care for each other. Caring for each other is one of the key factors to maintain a meaningful, effective learning environment. As a form of external motivation, caring for other people encourages the learners and supports them to keep them motivated and aspire to learn. Transfer learning. So, the concept of transfer learning is the application of previously acquired knowledge and skills in new learning environment or somewhat a problem-solving situations. It mostly lays within the field of education. But it can also be applied in learning culture, like relating the discussion to other concepts which may be somewhat familiar to the students or the other learners, to give them a much more grasp of the idea. Networking of ideas. So, networking ideas is a form of exchanging ideas, information, or whatever you need for educational purposes. Successful networking of ideas and communication, like in a group work or even just in simple brainstorming, builds strong relationships to people and gives them idea about how others think or approach the situations and how they react to other concepts and suggestions as well. Lastly is to offer time and resources. To foster and create a more engaging learning environment, one must learn to invest time and resources for the sake of learning. Exertion of effort into every situation in learning is crucial in partaking knowledge to people successfully. To rely on resources is useful for the construct of more than just shallow knowledge in learning. It allows the learning to be more in-depth and not just superficial.
Hi everyone, we will be discussing the three areas of communication, which is nonverbal communication, conversational skills, and assertiveness. First is nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is the transmission of message or signal through a nonverbal platform such as facial expression, eye gaze, posture, gesture, and tone of voice. This is hugely important because in many cases, it sometimes conveys more information than what we actually say. Okay, let's talk about the different types of nonverbal communication or the wordless signal. First, we have facial expression. We all know that the human face is extremely expressive, that can be able to convey countless emotions without saying any words. Our facial expressions may reveal our true feelings or emotions about a particular situation, and our emotions can be expressed via facial expressions when we are in happiness, when we are in sadness, anger, surprise, or when we are fear. Apart from that, the expression on a person's face can even help us determine if we trust or believe what the individual is saying. Another one is the eye gaze. The eyes play an important role in nonverbal communication, and things such as looking, staring, and blinking are important nonverbal behaviors. When people encounter people or things that they like, the rate of blinking increases and people's delete. Looking at another person can indicate a range of emotions, including hostility, interest, and attraction. So, people also utilize eye gaze as a means to determine if someone is being honest. Normally, steady eye contact is often taken as a sign that a person is telling the truth and is trustworthy, while the shifty eyes and an inability to maintain eye contact on the other hand is frequently seen as an indicator that someone is lying or being deceptive. Next is posture. The way you sit or stand can also communicate your comfort level, your professionalism, and general disposition towards a person or conversation. For example, someone might slouch their shoulder if they feel tired, they feel frustrated, or they feel disappointed. Another is gesture. Gestures are woven into a fabric of our daily lives. You may wave, point, beckon, or use your hands when arguing or speaking animatedly, often expressing yourselves with gestures without thinking. However, the meaning of some gesture can be very different across cultures, so we should be very careful on our gesture when we are interacting to the people with different culture, because they might interpret our gestures. And lastly is tone of voice. Consider all different ways that simply changing your tone of voice might change the meaning of a sentence. For example, a friend might ask you how you are doing, and you might respond with the standard "I'm fine," but how you actually say those words might reveal a tremendous amount of how you are really feeling. While a cold tone of voice might suggest that you are actually not fine, but you don't wish to discuss it. A bright, happy tone of voice will reveal that you are actually doing quite well. A somber, downcast tone would indicate that you are the opposite of fine, and that perhaps your friends should inquire further. So that's it for the tone of voice. Now, let's move on to the roles of nonverbal communication. First, we have repetition, contradiction, substitution, complementing, and accenting. We will talk about repetition first. Repetition is when they can repeat the message the person is making verbally. This function means that you can use nonverbal communication to duplicate and support a verbal message. This function makes a spoken message more clear to avoid misunderstanding. For example, when your sister joins a competition, you not only say good luck, but most probably you will also hug her, smile, and cheer for her while saying those encouraging words. Then, when the competition starts, you will not only shout her name, but you will also wave your hands, clap, and jump to show your support to her. Repetition in nonverbal communication cues to confirm the message so that the receiver can understand it well. Another is contradiction. Contradiction is when they can contradict the message. You've probably heard people tell you that you look terrible, but they look at you as if you're a beautiful painting. That means that they're just teasing you and they think you're gorgeous, and this scenario is one of the example of contradiction. Contradiction can also occur unconsciously. Sometimes we notice people acting differently than what they say. When this happens, we get confused, and our common reaction is to observe their body language and behavior to find out what they mean. For example, your partner might tell you that she's okay, but you can notice that she doesn't enjoy the things anymore. So that's it. Next to that is substitution. Substitution is when they can substitute for a verbal message. Some of the most common substitution we are using is waving our hands instead of saying hello or goodbye. Oftentimes, we also hold a hand up instead of asking someone to stop talking. When our loved ones break down or lash out, we choose to touch them gently rather than tell them to take it easy. In these scenarios, our nonverbal cues are better tools than words in expressing a message. Aside from gestures, nonverbal communication is also achieved through eye contact and closeness. For example, if you want a person to leave you alone, you can simply give him an intense stare and move closer to him. We can also see mean people do this. They often take up other people's space as a way of intimidating them or driving them away. Moving into someone's space sends a much stronger message than telling them to go away. One of the best uses of the substitution function is as a solution to language barriers. People use different language while others can't speak at all. Babies, for example, are not able to use words, but we can observe their reactions and body language to know what they want. Okay, another one is complementing. Complementing is when they may add or complement a verbal message. For example, if a friend tells you that she recently received a promotion and a pay raise, you can show your enthusiasm in a number of verbal and nonverbal ways. If you exclaim like, "Wow, that's great! I'm so happy for you," while at the same time smiling and hugging your friend, you are using verbal communication to complement what you are saying. And lastly is accenting. Accenting is when they may accent or underline a verbal message. It is the use of nonverbal cues to intensify the verbal message. For example, if you speak louder and quickly, you are adding intensity to the verbal message. We can tell when a person is excited because they usually speak loud and their eyes widen, making the message more clear, and we call it accenting. So that's it for nonverbal communication, and let's now move on to another areas of communication, which is conversational skills.
Hi there! So my name is Izzy Rarakap, and for today's topic, we're gonna talk about effective communication. So why do we need to have an effective communication? Since being able to communicate effectively is perhaps the most important of all life skills. It is what enables us to pass information to the other people and to understand what is said to us. Communication at its simplest, it is the act of transferring information from one place to another. So, effective communication or communication has a two-way process. It has a sender and a receiver. So, in order to communicate effectively, the sender will directly send its message to the receiver and the receiver will send its feedback. So, the receiver will be now a sender as soon as he provide a feedback. So paulit-ulit lang yung cycle nila. Sending a message, providing a feedback, and etc. So, for the next topic, it will be further explained by Ms. Apostolado.
Hi, my name is Eugene Dale Abesha, and I will be the one talking about the topic assertiveness. Assertiveness is the ability to express your emotions or point of view in a way that is clear and direct, while still being respectful. There are certain levels of assertiveness. The first one is passive. This means that you are being too nice and you have weak boundaries. When people say harsh things towards you and overstep your boundaries, you just let them go easily and not react to the things they say. The next one will be aggressive. This means that you have an unstable boundaries. When people say harsh things towards you or point out your mistakes, you easily get offended and you overreact to the things they say. The last one will be assertive. This one is the balance between passive and aggressive, and this one is the good one because it means that you have a strong and firm boundaries. You respect other people as well as yourself, and you deliver your messages clearly.